you tonight that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, has an answer to every problem that you face. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, has an answer to every burden that you carry.
If he had not become a man, if he had not put on a body of flesh and blood, he could not have redeemed us. He had to become a man and die.
In America, we don't worship government, we worship God. We want all children to have the opportunity to know the blessings of God. We will not allow the government to censor sermons, to restrict the free speech of our pastors and our preachers and the people that we most respect.
Welcome one, welcome all, and thank you for joining me. I am your host, Billy Ray Parrish, for God's Gospel Radio Ministries, Deceit of a Nation. No, this is not a Deceit of a Nation program. Rather, this is a talking point program. Michael Witt could not be with us tonight. I hope he's resting. Get well, Boom. God bless you. Pray for Boom. But today we will continue our discussion on the 2020 presidential election. Last time we discussed that this fight is not over. It's far from over. Rather than going into the election itself, we want to go into the forms of deception in which was used against our duly elected President Donald Trump. I should say duly re-elected President Donald Trump. Before we get into our discussion, this is a Christian program. This is a Christian station. Let's look at what the Bible has to say. As we know, everything that we are up against is spiritual. Scripture tells us that for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. I do apologize, I'm a bit tired. It is a bit late. It's been a long day. We recorded this program once already, but the videos that I was using were said to be blocked. So this program was not allowed to air. So I thought we would just go ahead and do it again. The scripture says, "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." Ephesians 6:11. We have learned over the last few weeks just how evil and deceived the media is, just how wicked they can be. We have seen many within leadership, whether Democrat, Republican, just how evil they are, just how corrupt they truly are. When Donald Trump says the swamp, he wants to drain the swamp, he's talking about these very people. He's talking about this establishment class. And it's not just one side, it's both sides, or all sides. And today I want to continue on with the Dominion voting system. Dominion and other programs like it were used in the November 3rd, 2020 election. Maybe you know what Dominion is. Maybe you've heard the name Dominion, but you're not sure what it is. Maybe you're certain of what it is, but you're not sure about the details surrounding it. Either way, sit back and let's learn about what Dominion is. Now, I'm going to use some audio clips, some video clips to show each and every one of you more about what Dominion is. First, I want to take you to election night. Fast forward a few hours to Wednesday, November the 4th, in the wee morning hours of Wednesday morning, and listen to our president, as he always has some stark words. See what he has to say here, because this is leading us into what Dominion is truly about.
North Carolina, where we're up 1.4%, or 77,000 votes, with only approximately 5% left. They can't catch us. We also, if you look and you see Arizona, we have a lot of life in that. And somebody declared that it was a victory for, and maybe it will be. I mean, that's possible. But certainly there were a lot of votes out there that we could get, because we're now just coming into what they call Trump territory. I don't know what you call it, but these were friendly Trump voters, and that could be overturned. The gentleman that called it, I watched tonight, he said, well, we think it's fairly unlikely that he could catch. Well, fairly unlikely. And we don't even need it. We don't need that. That was just a state that if we would have gotten it, it would have been nice, Arizona. But there's a possibility, maybe even a good possibility. In fact, since I saw that originally, it's been changed, and the numbers have substantially come down just in a small amount of votes. So we want that, obviously, to stay in play. But most importantly, we're winning Pennsylvania by a tremendous amount of votes. We're up 600. Think of this. Think of this. Think of this. We're up 690,000 votes in Pennsylvania. 690,000. These aren't even close. It's not like, oh, it's close. With 64% of the vote in, it's going to be almost impossible to catch. And we're coming into good Pennsylvania areas where they happen to like your president. I mean, it's like very good. So we'll probably expand that. We're winning Michigan, but I'll tell you, I looked at the numbers. I said, whoa. I said, wow, that's a lot. By almost 300,000 votes, and 65% of the vote is in. And we're winning Wisconsin. So we're winning. We don't need all of them. We need, because when you add Texas in, which wasn't added, I spoke with the really wonderful governor of Texas just a little while ago, and Greg Abbott, he said, congratulations. He called me to congratulate me on winning Texas. I mean, we won Texas. I don't think they finished quite the tabulation, but there's no way. And it was almost complete, but he congratulated me. Then he said, by the way, what's going on? I've never seen anything like this. Can I tell you what? Nobody has. So we won by 107,000 votes with 81% of the vote. That's Michigan. So when you take those three states in particular, and you take all of the others, I mean, we have so many. We had such a big night. You just take a look at all of these states that we've won tonight, and then you take a look at the kind of margins that we've won them by. And all of a sudden, it's not like we're up 12 votes and we have 60% left. We won states, and all of a sudden, I said, what happened to the election? It's off. And we have all these announcers saying, what happened? And then they said, oh, because you know what happened? They knew they couldn't win. So they said, let's go to court. And did I predict this, Newt? Did I say this? I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots. I said exactly, because either they were going to win, or if they didn't win, they'll take us to court. So Florida was a tremendous victory, 377,000. Texas, as we said. Ohio, think of this. Ohio, a tremendous state, a big state. I love Ohio. We won by 8.1%, 461. Think of it. Almost 500,000 votes. North Carolina, big victory with North Carolina. And so we won there. We lead by 76,000 votes with almost nothing left. And all of a sudden, everything just stopped. This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
I want to stop right there, because this is where it gets really good. Think about what the president said. Look at all the margins that he was winning by. November the 4th of 2020, Glenn Beck said, that Donald Trump had a 100,000 vote lead in the state of Georgia with 60,000 votes left to be counted, which means if Joe Biden happened to win every single one of those votes, Donald Trump would win the state of Georgia by 40,000 votes. Do you think every single vote would have been for Joe Biden? No. Why did they not call the election or the state of Georgia for President Donald Trump? Why did it take them 2 weeks to give it to Joe Biden? Finally give it to Joe Biden. Which, do the math. There's no way that could have happened. What did they do? This is where it gets even better. This seems like a Twilight Zone episode. I'm going to introduce you to some new people here. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, these are great people. And if you have, you're going to get a treat because these great people are going to help me explain what Dominion system is. And it's not just Dominion, it's other systems. But Dominion is the one that you've heard a lot about. Now, I want to introduce you to one of President Trump's lawyers, Lynn Wood, out of Atlanta, Georgia. This guy is really good. He's a rock star. He's a lot like Donald Trump. He has defended Kyle Rittenhouse and Nicholas Sandmann. He made Nicholas Sandmann a rich man. And he recently just got Kyle Rittenhouse out of jail. He helped raise $2 million. God bless both of those men. God bless you, Lynn Wood. Thank you. And let's hear what Mr. Wood has to say.
And so with that being said, we have been able to bring someone into the fold. And I'm talking about someone who's probably has one of the most brilliant minds, legal minds, in this country. Yes. If you think I'm lying, ask CNN. And some of those others who attack everyday people and try to destroy their reputation and change their lives forever. Y'all join me in bringing in a fighter who's fighting for you, for Georgians, and this president. Y'all welcome Lynn Wood here.
Fight back. I love you too if you're not behind the camera and you remember the media. How you doing? I was sitting around Tuesday night watching the election returns. I've loved politics all my life, since I first voted in 1972. And I saw what I assumed was going to happen. I saw President Trump building up what I believed was going to be almost a historic landslide victory. And then all of a sudden, every network, including Fox News, started doing what they do best. They started lying to the American public. And they took a victory from Donald Trump and they called it a lie. They took a defeat from Joe Biden and lied and said he won. And they sent you to bed, turning off the count of the vote so you could wake up tomorrow, the next morning like I did and go, what happened?
So what happened? What exactly did happen with those insurmountable leads that Donald Trump had? How could Joe Biden win? I stayed up the entire day Wednesday, the entire night, and the entire day Wednesday, and the entire night Wednesday. Went to bed early Wednesday night. I was waiting for these results to come in. Wisconsin was supposed to come in at 3 in the morning, then at 5 in the morning, then before breakfast, then about lunchtime. It kept on and on like this. What were these people doing? The vote counters, they work in 8-hour shifts. Just like a regular job, 8 on, 8 off. What were they doing? There was a lot of irregularities that was going on, a lot of things that shouldn't have happened. There was a lot of votes being switched, a lot of votes being deleted. In fact, Donald Trump lets you know that just in fact, he explains that Dominion deleted nearly 3 million Trump votes nationwide. That's a lot of votes. Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell have both explained that Donald Trump received up to 80 million votes. Think about that, 80 million votes, and they didn't use Dominion. He won in a landslide. In fact, and we'll get into this in another program, the server that was seized in Germany reveals that Donald Trump had 410 electoral votes. That is a huge landslide. 410, Joe Biden had about 128. Donald Trump won the state of California. Go figure that. Data analysis finds that 221,000 Pennsylvania votes were switched from President Trump to Joe Biden. 941,000 Trump votes deleted. Just deleted. They disappeared. In fact, in the state of Virginia, Wednesday morning, about 5 in the morning, 5:10, I believe, 100,000 votes just disappeared, just went off the map. How does that happen? States using the Dominion voting system switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden. Just switched. It's just up and switch. But that's what this software does. It's built to do this. It's not a glitch, as they keep saying. It's a feature. They build this system to do just that. I want to use this next clip is from someone that most people probably know, Judge Jeanine, where she is interviewing Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell has defended Michael Flynn, and she got Michael Flynn out of jail after being put there by the FBI. So she is a hero. Lynn Wood is a hero. Rudy Giuliani is a hero. Richard Grenell. The people fighting for President Trump, they're heroes. They see what's been done to this president. Never before have we had a fighter. He's fought for us for 4 years. Now it's time for us to fight for him. Let's listen to what Judge Jeanine has to say with Sidney Powell.
Welcome back. The election results in several battleground states continued to be under intense focus as allegations of voter fraud are being investigated. Trump campaign attorney and former federal prosecutor Sidney Powell joins me now with more. All right, good evening, Sidney. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you're very busy now. Can you give me some idea of what you're working on now and what exactly you are doing on the Trump in this effort to identify problems with the election?
I am working on the massive aspect of system-wide election fraud, definitely impacting the swing states and likely going far beyond that. We're talking about the alteration and changes in millions of votes, some being dumped that were for President Trump, some being flipped that were for President Trump, computers being overwritten to ignore signatures, all kinds of different means of manipulating the Dominion and Smartmatic software that, of course, we would not expect Dominion or Smartmatic to admit.
Well, and now that you mention it, they've denied that they have done anything improper, and they denied that this claim that there are 6,000 votes that went from President Trump to Biden had anything to do with their software. But at the same time, as you put together your case, Sidney, I assume that you are getting to the bottom of exactly what Dominion is, who started Dominion, how it can be manipulated, if it is manipulated at all, and what evidence do you have to prove this?
Oh, yes. We are collecting evidence through a fire hose as hundreds of American patriots across the country are stepping forward with what they know about this issue, including some people that are taking great risks to do it.
And as you do so, what is your intent here? If you can establish that there is corruption in the use of this software, this Dominion software, as you allege, and you say you have evidence, how do you put that together and prove that on election night or immediately after, that at the time that the votes were being either tabulated or put in, that we can prove that they were flipped?
There is statistical evidence. There is all kinds of mathematical evidence, essentially forensic evidence, math that cannot be disputed. We have eyewitnesses to different features of the machine. We have eyewitnesses to different aspects of the machine being uploaded with data when it was not supposed to be and never being certified. no state that had anything done to the machine prior to the prior to the election without a new certification is going to have to invalidate its votes. It's going to have to go to the state legislatures to be decided, Janine. And there's another thing. Democratic office holders have been raising issues with the Dominion machines for a long time, and the government has turned a blind eye to those. So there's also a substantial reason for them to keep the government people to keep defending themselves.
Sydney, I believe that it's Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, I was reading, and another senator that I don't remember, all had objections to Dominion because it was capable of being manipulated. Those are just two, and I know I read about three. Go ahead.
Yes, Carolyn Maloney, I think, was the first one, and she commissioned a report on it, which we happen to have a copy of. Notably, all the articles that she cited in the letter that she wrote, and I don't remember right now which government official she wrote it to, but all the articles she cited have been wiped from the internet in the last few days. And also, Mr. Lord Malloch Brown's name has been taken off the website for the company that he runs through the UK and Canada that has a role in this. It's either Symantec or Smartmatic or the two. One is a subsidiary of the other. It's all inextricably intertwined. The money creating it came out of Venezuela and Cuba. It was created for the express purpose of being able to alter votes and secure the re-election of Hugo Chavez and then Maduro. They've used it in Argentina. There is an American citizen who has exported it to other countries. And it is one huge, huge criminal conspiracy that should be investigated by military intelligence for its national security implications.
Yes, hopefully the Department of Justice, but who knows anymore. Sidney Powell, good luck on your mission. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Judge Janine. And people who want to help can contribute to this defense at www.defendingtherepublic.org.
All right. Thank you, Sidney.
Defendingtherepublic.org. Again, Sidney Powell is a hero. I encourage each and every one of you to do more research on her. Follow her on Twitter. She's really good. Lynn Wood is really good as well. Follow him on Twitter. If you want the news, these two people, they bring you the news. Lynn Wood says trust Donald Trump. Trust Donald Trump when he is laying back and letting his defense team, his legal team, do his dirty work for him. You know everything is all well and good. There are going to be some bumpy roads ahead, just like with everyday life. But in the end, the truth will be revealed. Scripture tells us that the truth shall make you free. And the truth is going to be revealed. These people will get to the truth. I want to continue on with this Dominion voting system. I want to use the scorecard of the hammer. I want to go to the Chris Salvato show. If you've got Newsmax, check him out. If you don't, get on your phone, your Apple or your smartphone, whether it's Apple or Android, download Newsmax app and check out Chris Salvato. He has a general, Thomas McInerney. Now, listen to this interview because this is really in-depth. This is going to tell you a lot about what we are dealing with right now.
And welcome back, my friends. We're honored to be joined by retired Air Force Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. Sir, thank you for your service to the country on this Veterans Day. We appreciate having you here. And unfortunately, we're talking about election security today. Now, many folks and viewers have been hearing a lot about something called Hammer and Scorecard. First, tell everybody what it is.
Well, Hammer and Scorecard, Hammer is a surveillance tool designed to seek out terrorists, started in 2003. It was converted by the Biden administration into a surveillance tool to listen to American people and record what they were doing. The scorecard is an application like on your iPhone that can manipulate voting data, keep it within 3% so it's not obvious, but switch it from Trump to Biden, which the Democrats did in this election. And it is clearly one of the most subtle and stealthy ways of changing voting that there is today. And this is the first massive attack in the United States history. So now there'll be no more free election, Chris, after this one, if we get this issue resolved.
Well, General, I got to ask, because is there verifiable information that the Trump administration can use, that our citizens can see, that we can say that it was deployed in this election against American voters? Yes,
and we will show specifically at what time. For instance, in Michigan at 0400 on the 4th of November, 138,000 votes came in for Biden. We'll show a whole host of these that around the country in the key battleground states that were attacked, the time and how many votes were changed. And we'll have to compare it manually to the votes that went in to the Secretary of State's office and then that came out, the differential. Because people they all realize, I think, that the voting machines are not hooked up to the internet. There are some in Texas that are, but in general they are. They're bundled, go up to the state Secretary of State, and there at certain points they're shifted onto the internet and distributed. And that's where Hammer is put in, and they put the scorecard application on it and manufacture a different vote total, in this particular case, in favor of Biden. This has to be proved because it'll have to go to a court of law.
Mm-hmm. In general, of course, this all begs the question now, if this is going to be demonstrated and shown, who has the sophistication and the technology advanced enough to pull something like this off? If this did happen, who did it to us?
Well, I don't know who specifically did it to us, but the fact is, and I'm just starting to hear that the Russians and the Chinese were playing with us as well. And so I can't give you the names. I can tell you that Jim Clapper and John Brennan, the former DNI and former director of the CIA, were involved with the program. 2 weeks after President Obama came in, they shifted it over to a separate CIA facility and went and started listening to U.S. So the people I don't know exactly, but it benefited the Democratic Party. So obviously they were involved with it to shift the voting. And the reason that's important and a great question, Chris, is because you've got to look at the whole situation that we're involved with. Here you had Vice President Biden had a record number of votes, larger than Barack Obama. Now, for a person that didn't do any campaigning, and the largest crowd he had were 12 cars with people blowing horns, never getting out of the basement, did not do one press conference that was an hour long and got real questions, to have gotten the number of votes, the record number of votes he got, that in fact belies the smell test, if you will. And so these other, what we call points of interest or patterns of behavior is the best term. The patterns of behavior don't track. Look at the down low voting from the House. Not one Republican lost his seat that ran again. Look at the number of House seats the Democrats lost. Look at the Senate is going to go, I believe, in favor of the Republicans with the 2 Georgian. But the fact was, if the weight of voting was so strong for Biden, why don't the down ballots reflect that? So it's the patterns of behavior that we've got to look at, and it's a sniff test. This doesn't make sense the way it turned out. And the reason is because people aren't really aware of cyber warfare and what the Democratic Party did to shift those votes.
Wow. General, first off, thank you for the service of the country. Thank you for coming on and explaining to us with such clarity what potentially might have happened. A lot of folks looking for explanations, and a lot of folks have been bombarding my inbox with what is Hammer and Scorecard, and we appreciate you carving out time.
Newsmax TV is now.
A lot of information that he just shared there is very significant to look at. Think about the down ballots. The Republicans kept the House, or they regained a lot of seats there in the House. They kept the Senate. They didn't lose any gubernatorial races. And in the delegations, they gained. So, what makes you think? What smells right about losing the White House? You got all those factors there, and then you lose the White House. None of that makes any sense. There was a record number, tens of thousands of ballots where it was just one for Joe Biden and nobody else. They didn't vote any of the down races. There was about 1,000 for Donald Trump. That doesn't sound right. It doesn't smell right. And he's absolutely right when you talk about the amount of people that was at a Donald Trump rally compared to a Joe Biden meeting. It wasn't enough people, I don't think, to be considered a meeting. I've seen drive-in movie theaters with more people there, with more cars there. Of course, they didn't have to have meetings or rallies or whatever you want to call them because they had all this in the works. This is not something that just come together overnight. This is something that takes a lot of planning and a lot of effort to put together. Let's continue on with our video because this is something that you would see in a movie. I mean, really, it's playing out like a movie. Except you're not going to know the ending in 2 hours. It'll be another 2 weeks before we have the winner. But we gave Al Gore 37 days. Let's give Donald Trump a few weeks. Let's continue on here with Eric Bolling. Most people probably know Eric Bolling from Fox News. He used to be co-host of The Five until he was fired, wrongfully fired, I might add. He was accused of making advancements to a woman there at the network. He was fired, similar to Bill O'Reilly, similar to Charles Payne. Thankfully, Charles Payne had the emails to prove it was consensual. Eric Bolling is here on with Sidney Powell. Let's listen to Miss Powell and Mr. Bolling.
Joining me now is best-selling author of the book License to Lie, former federal prosecutor and General Michael Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell. Thank you for joining us. Counselor, tell us a little bit about the challenges that the Trump administration is facing, and what are your thoughts on whether or not they will be able to flip any states?
They're facing an election that was absolutely rigged. We are soaking in information through fire hoses of complicated mathematical alterations to the votes. We have identified the system capability that does it. It does, in fact, exist, regardless of what the name of it is. It works through the Dominion company's voting machines that were in 30 states and does indeed alter and flip voting results.
So can you tell me right there, I understand that. So there are these Dominion machines that were voting machines, and as you point out, they're in multiple counties across the country that may have changed. How do you know this? Listen, I'm not pushing back on you because I know everyone's going crazy right now, but is there proof of that?
Yes, well, the Dominion machines are in 30 states. We're identifying the companies that created the software. They have done this in other countries around the world. It's incredibly disturbing, and we will hopefully have evidence of it before the end of the week that we can produce publicly. And the Justice Department and the FBI and the intelligence agencies, I think, have known about this before. So why nothing's been done about it yet is beyond my comprehension, but it's fixing to go public because I'm not going to stand by and watch the American public be defrauded of their chosen leader in a free country that's supposed to be free, not run by Venezuela or China.
Sidney, very important information news you're breaking here. Is it a software glitch or something more nefarious?
It's a feature of the system that was designed with a back door so that people could watch in real time and calculate with an algorithm how many votes they needed to change to make the result they wanted to create.
How did you find out about this?
People have come to me with information. I think when people realize there's somebody they can trust that will actually do something about it, they speak up. We have a lot of patriots in this country. They are absolutely fed up to the gills with corruption at every level of government. They have no trust in our public institutions now, and we will not let this election be stolen or any cheating to survive.
So let me get this straight, and it's a real important point here. Dominion voting machines were in numerous states, numerous counties. There's some sort of software backdoor, not unlike most phones will have a backdoor, but this will actually calculate and tell the person accessing the backdoor what type of voting percentages and what type of numbers are needed to change the win for a certain party, for a certain candidate.
Exactly. They can watch the voting real time. They run a computer algorithm on it as needed to either flip votes, take votes out, or alter the votes to make a candidate win.
So that's different. Now this is even different. I just really want to be very, very careful here and be very meticulous about this. It's one thing to be able to watch it and decide how much more input you need to change the number, but now you're saying there's an actual way to change the total, the vote tallies within the system?
That's exactly right.
That's a very, very big claim there. I mean, that would be voter fraud defined right there. What's the next step?
It's massive criminal voter fraud writ large across at least 29 states. It could have been happening. Anytime a voting machine was connected to the internet, and we have evidence that many were, it was obviously happening. It's obvious from the algorithm and the statistics that our experts are tracking out for batches of votes and when the curves changed. And it's going to blow the mind of everyone in this country when we get it all together and can explain it with the affidavits and the experts that have come forward.
All right, Sydney, we're going to leave it there, and we're going to look into it, and we're going to watch for further information coming out from your camp, I guess Rudy Giuliani's camp as well, the Trump camp. So, Sidney Powell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Miss Powell's a hero. She is fighting the good fight. Scripture talks exactly about this, running the race, continuing on with the good fight. And that's what we have to continue to do right now. I know we all want this to be over with. We want it to wake up Wednesday or go into Wednesday with knowing who the president is. We are ultimately going to know who the president is. And with all the information coming out now, we know it will be Donald Trump. With all the information that we have coming out, that's come out, Donald Trump, we know, was reelected on Tuesday night. But they could not have this. They were too invested in seeing him go. They had to have him go away. And the media companies included, because a lot of people are tied into the wrongdoings that he is bringing out. When he was elected, he ran as a game changer. Obama promised hope. He promised change. He didn't bring no change. It was more of the same old, same old. You're talking about the status quo. That's what Barack Obama brought. Nothing more, nothing different. In fact, you go back and every candidate in my life, excluding Reagan, because I was born in 86, so I don't remember Reagan. And I don't remember Herbert Walker Bush, but I remember Clinton, Bush, and Obama. I remember those three very well. Status quo. Nothing changed. All three loved war. All three wanted war. All three were globalists, big government, no borders, same policies. John McCain, John Kerry, Mitt Romney, the losers, Bob Dole, they were the same. Same old, same old. The illusion of freedom is real. When we talk about freedom, yes, we as Americans are the most free people on earth. But we have slowly seen our freedoms go away. Slowly, in increments. They know they can't do it too quickly, because if they do, we'll revolt. Our Constitution gives us that right. The revolution that they fought all the way back when, 1775, we're going to have to stand up and do that now. This COVID-19 situation was all about this election as a way to garner enough votes or to go get enough votes to put Joe Biden over the top. At least it has to appear that way. That's what it appears right now. That's the narrative the media is pushing. Not all the media. Newsmax still hasn't called the election because they know what's going on. But COVID-19 was all about this, and that's all it was about. It had nothing to do with your health. They don't care about us. I mean, seriously, they don't. These elites, they are all about population control. So it's up to them, maybe 500,000 people on Earth. All of us will be gone. And that's just the reality of it. And eventually, if they have their way, they'll get it. But we have to continue to fight. That's why voting is so important. If you say voting is not important, look at what we're dealing with right now. Donald Trump got 80 million votes. 80 million. I never believed for a moment that Joe Biden, who wouldn't come out of his basement, got more votes than Barack Obama, the first black man to run for president and had a chance to win. Hillary Clinton, who received almost 66 million votes, 3.5 million less than what Barack Obama did in 2008. I never believed for a moment that Joe Biden got more votes than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Why do you think they stopped counting? Now let's go back to the video screen. Let's go back to the board. Let's see. Let's go here. This is a good one. This is Tom Fitton and Sidney Powell on Lou Dobbs.
Let's go back to Hammer and Scorecard. Are those the names that you just used for those programs? What's being done about it, and how broadly were they used by vote counters in various states?
I think they were very broadly used, but not by the vote counters. They were used by the forces in the Democratic operatives that had access to these programs through the government access points that they have, and used it illegally to change votes in this country. It's got to be investigated probably by the president's most trusted military intelligence officials who can get into the system and see what was done. But we do have some evidence that that is exactly what happened. And they've used it against other entities in other countries. It's just been turned recently against our own citizens here to change election results. It's absolutely appalling that that can be done. And whether it's called computer glitches or something else, somebody has actually gone into the system and changed voting results.
That's called intervention in our elections, irrespective of I guess if they were Russia or China, we'd refer to them as meddling. But it's intervention, and it's also crooked as hell, rigging this election no matter the jurisdiction, whether it's Michigan, Georgia, wherever it might be. What can we do about it? Because the Department of Justice, I mean, if there's evidence of that program, why not just turn it over to the Justice Department and say, and go to the courts and say, this has got to stop now. Here is the way in which it was done.
Well, we've been trying to get their attention, and we're going to try even harder, and we'll have to put it in a federal lawsuit, apparently, and get as much of it out as we possibly can. We have some excellent witnesses on the issue, but this is coup 5.0, Lou. I mean, there was no reason to think that the Democratic operatives who spent hundreds of millions of dollars creating the Russia hoax, the Steele dossier, taking us through a special counsel operation for 2 years, trying an impeachment hoax, the apocalypse hoax, the obstruction hoax, wouldn't go so far as to create every means of voter fraud they could come up with to steal this election. That's exactly what happens. The president must fight back now in every way, shape, or form. We cannot let this republic be stolen by the Democratic operatives who want to destroy the republic and make it a socialist country where they continue to line their pockets with these backdoor global deals like the Biden laptop from hell exposes.
Well, Sidney, that's. I think you're exactly right about that not happening. Let's turn Tom Fitton. You pointed out in our discussions that these legislatures are Republican controlled. Who can take that message to them, and precisely how likely is it that they would be receptive to a clean slate of electors who would represent, say, the state of Pennsylvania? That's a Republican legislature. And stand up for the integrity of elections and support the president?
Well, you know, the focus from the media and activists and regular voters and citizens need to be brought to bear here. Certainly the information we're learning from campaign activists on the ground, independent journalists like John Solomon, the work of Judicial Watch should also be brought to bear. I mean, we knew going into this election in Pennsylvania, Lou, there were 800,000 extra names in the rolls in Pennsylvania. Nevada County has 154,000 inactive names on the rolls. Clark County, Nevada, I mean. So we've got this problem of dirty election rolls, mailing and balloting being allowed to draw from them.
And apparently a Republican Party that doesn't demand that those rolls be cleaned up. I mean, that's crazy. Could you put up that graphic again, please? Folks, I want everybody to see what they're looking at, because this is really very important, what Tom's talking about. The control of both chambers of the legislature in these states that are critical right now in deciding who the next president will be. Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. They must play a role in this to preserve the integrity, just as Tom Fitton is urging. And Sidney Powell, what you're breaking here tonight is extraordinary as well. We've got to go. We're at that point. But thank you both for everything you're doing for the country and for the president. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Up next, let's go.
Not everyone over at Fox News has gone to the dark side. Lou Dobbs is really good. In fact, the weekend crew on Fox News is better than a regular crew. I hate to say it, but Tucker Carlson has seemed to have gone to the dark side. Sidney Powell there is a real hero. And she was discussing with Tucker Carlson about some of the evidence that she has. And she provided him sworn affidavits, at least one I know of, perhaps more. And while they were on the phone, he was rude and insensitive towards her. And this is not like Tucker Carlson normally. I know he wants facts. I want facts. He wants evidence. I want evidence. She's got evidence. She provided him with evidence. A sworn affidavit is evidence. And she told him not to call her back. Just basically lose her number. Tucker Carlson, I am afraid to say, has gone over to the dark side. Fox News has lost a lot of viewers since election night. They called Arizona for Joe Biden before they would call Florida for Donald Trump, and that's a shame. Look at the numbers. Look how close Arizona still is. This state is not over yet. Florida was over from the get-go. I probably shouldn't say get-go, but it was over pretty quickly. And the media did not want to call Florida. They were trying to come up with every possible vote they could, but they ran out of votes. In fact, some of these states, some of these cities, Atlanta, Georgia is one of them, different parts of Pennsylvania, up in Michigan, they stopped counting because Trump was getting so many votes. He had received so many more votes than expected that they had to stop the counting. They had to stop the machines. They had to manufacture votes. Even with switching, as the system does itself, that's what it's programmed to do. It's designed to do this. They had to stop the counting because of all the votes that was coming in for Trump. And they had to manufacture their own votes for Joe Biden. This is how badly Joe Biden lost the election. This is how bigly, Donald Trump's words, he was winning. It was a massive landslide. Sidney Powell is on the record. Giuliani is on the record. And Lynn Wood is on the record explaining how massive of a landslide this was. There are different states. Wayne Allen Root is in Nevada. He says nobody knows the state of Nevada better than him. Nobody on earth. And the Democrats stole this election. Nevada, especially Clark County there in Las Vegas, or is Las Vegas, is notorious for fraud. It's Sin City. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And apparently, if you're in the graveyard, well, you know, it happens all over the world. There are many, many cases. I've heard as many as 200,000 homeless people voting in multiple states. California and Nevada, for example. Perhaps Arizona. This is far from over, and this is dirty stuff. Politics is very dirty. It's always been dirty. The Democrats spent $1 billion to defeat Lindsey Graham, to defeat Mitch McConnell, to defeat Joni Ernst, to defeat Susan Collins, to defeat Murkowski, and people like that, and they all failed. And then you want to tell me, you want to try to convince me that somehow Joe Biden beat Donald Trump? Joe Biden couldn't defeat Donald Trump on his best day when Donald Trump's on his worst day. And you want to tell me 80 million Americans come out for Joe Biden somehow when Barack Obama only got 69 million votes? The first female candidate to almost win the presidency received just almost 66 million? And you're going to tell me Joe Biden got 80 million? I'm not buying it. 80 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump are not buying it. Vladimir Putin is not buying it. The president of Mexico is not buying it. But it does surprise me. Benjamin Netanyahu, is he deep state? Is he part of the swamp? Well, time will only tell. But I tell you this, the swamp is real. And after what we've seen in 2020, leading up to the election, you know why they want to get rid of Donald Trump. It's to push the New World Order, to get it implemented. The United Nations Project 2030. It's real. Research it. Go check it out. It's all about pushing the New World Order. We're just about out of time, actually. I wish we had much longer to go. But it's getting late. It's almost 10 o'clock here. And it's 11 o'clock where some of you are. I know we have church in the morning. It's been a long day. But before we go, I do just encourage you to fight. This is not over with. There is a long way to go. It's not over with until the fat lady sings. And nobody hears Rosie O'Donnell singing, so continue to fight. It's not over. Donald Trump is confident. When the media called it for Joe Biden, Donald Trump was on a golf course playing golf. So if you want to relax, go play golf. Don't watch NFL. Don't do that. I haven't done that in a long time. So just enjoy yourself. Tomorrow is the Lord's Day. Praise Him. Bless Him. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for listening. Until next time, I am Billy Ray Parrish for God's Gospel Radio Ministries. Talking points for Deceit of a Nation. I want to leave you with this video. This ending from Lynn Wood. Again, thank you and God bless.
Woken up on November the 4th and found that we knew who our president would be. And nobody wants to have to sit through day after day and endure the chads. Thank gosh we don't have chads this time. Nobody wants to sit around day after day after day after an exhausting campaign to try to figure out who's going to be president, especially at a time when the presidency has never been more important in terms of world affairs. But let me tell you what we got to do. We got to wait. We've got to have patience. Because if we don't do this right and take the time to do it right, God help us if we get it wrong. So thank you for letting me be a part of this today. I thank the President of the United States for asking me to help him. I want you to all fight back. Fight back for America.